Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Friends of the USC Libraries 19th Annual Scripter Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Dean of the USC Libraries, Maria Schutze-Coburn.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the USC Libraries Scripter Award ceremony. Tonight is an important evening for the libraries, and I thank you for sharing it with us. As you saw in the video of past winners, tonight has a long and rich history behind it. With Scripter on the verge of its 20th anniversary, I'd like to take a few moments to talk about what it means to the USC Libraries. We gather once every year in the Edward L. Doheny Jr. Memorial Library to celebrate authors and screenwriters, but the significance of Scripter is far greater than any one night. As USC grows in stature as a premier research university, events like Scripter support the USC Libraries' mission to help students and faculty excel in this dynamic academic setting. As I speak, you're seeing examples of the valuable collections that we build and the wonderful spaces our students use every day when they're pursuing their academic studies. Our special collections preserve scholarly materials from across the disciplines, from the arts and letters to the regional history of Southern California. These include books and manuscripts, of course, but also photographs, drawings, and multimedia that represent the legacies of the world's greatest writers, scientists, artists, and thinkers. For those of you who spent some time in Doheny Library's newly renovated tea house or in the information commons of Levy Library, know that today's library is much more than a place where students come to check out books. As a partner in student learning and faculty research, a great library must be available whenever and wherever research happens. And that's why we continue to make more resources available electronically every day. And while at the same time, we're creating inviting and technology-rich spaces here on campus for students to come and study and to collaborate. Our library faculty and staff do all the things you'd expect them to do, like answering reference questions, but they are also busy helping students develop information literacy skills and also building new services like the digital archive, which is going to define the library of the future. Inspiring students is also a part of the mission of a great library, and that's why we showcase some of the items you see behind me in our exhibition series. And perhaps you saw the artist books that we have currently on display in the treasure room on your way in tonight. Beyond the exhibitions, our public programming offers lectures and discussions and readings, and many of those events take place upstairs in room 240. In fact, by attending Scripter, you're helping to support the renovation of that space into what will be the Friends of the USC Libraries Lecture Hall. Many members of the library family are here tonight, and all of us would love to share some of the stories about what we do in the library each day and the projects we have underway. On behalf of everyone in the library, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. And I'd also like to welcome those of you who are joining us via the webcast that's running live right now. And now it's my pleasure and honor to introduce one of the library's greatest and most dedicated supporters. He's a university trustee, a co-founder of Scripter, and the president of the Friends of the USC Libraries, Glenn Zonenberg.
Getting kissed by the librarian, that's pretty cool. For those of you who went to SC, you all remember this room. This is where you study before those exams. I don't know if you noticed the reference to the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo that was up here. It was like a history quiz. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. The USC Libraries Scripter Award is one of the university's most eagerly anticipated and highly regarded events. It combines the dignity of academia with the excitement of Hollywood. We're delighted that all of you have joined us this evening in this historic library to honor gifted creative artists and the impact of writers and writing. We have several members of the Board of Trustees, of USC Board of Trustees with us this evening. This is a hardworking group and a fun group, I might add. And I ask that they all stand as I call their names and remain standing so we can recognize them as a group. Michelle Engeman, Harleen Norris and Webb Castor, Lorna Reed and her husband Chuck, Ronald Sugar and his wife and friends of the USC Libraries board member Valerie, my beautiful wife Andrea, ladies and gentlemen, our trustees. You always say beautiful wife when you introduce your wife. We also have with us several of USC's senior administrators. And please stand as I call your names. Sam Martinuzzi, Associate Senior Vice President for University Advancement, and the lovely and talented Madeline Puzo, Dean of the USC School of Theater, and her guest, Charles Janisch. Also, please welcome tonight's presenters, Leonard Maltin, Howard Rodman, and Danny Houston. It gives me great pleasure to congratulate this year's Scripter Award winners, author P.D. James, and screenwriters Alfonso Cuarón, Timothy J. Sexton, David Arata, Mark Fergus, and Hawk Ostby for Children of Men. We also want to thank Universal Pictures for their generous support of this evening, as well as all of tonight's sponsors. This evening would not be possible if it was not for the dedicated friends of the USC Library board members, many of whom are hosting tables here this evening. Would the board members please all stand and be recognized as a group? And finally, I'd like to offer special thanks to the library staff and volunteers who work with enormous energy throughout the year to make this gala such an entertaining affair. Thank each and every one of you, especially Toni Miller, who is celebrating her 6th year as Scripter producer. It's really an unbelievable amount of work. When you think that this room a couple of days ago was a reference library and kids were in here studying, and here it is beautiful like this. Scripter is an extraordinary event, bringing together leaders in publishing, business, education, and film. Tonight we are celebrating some of the best writers around. Their contribution to Children of Men resulted in a haunting, futuristic thriller. Children of Men has been praised by critics as an extraordinary artistic breakthrough and powered by that rarest of cinematic fuels, intelligent action. Last month, the film was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, including Best Adapted Screenplay, and we're all going to be crossing our fingers during that show, aren't we? Many of you know that I've been involved with Scripter since its inception, and I could not be more delighted to be part of this annual tradition. By joining us tonight, you also play a part in ensuring that generations of Trojans to come will have the greatest of libraries. We are thankful for your generosity and vision. Tonight's Master of Ceremonies is a true friend of writers. As an author, actor, producer, and director, he has learned through personal experience how talented writers can bring creative ideas to life on the page and on the screen. He is also a great friend of the USC Libraries. Tonight marks his 3rd appearance as Master of Ceremonies, and we could not be more thrilled to have him here again with us. We all know Henry Winkler as the pop culture icon from the television series Happy Days, but he's an artist of many and diverse talents. He recently performed on stage at London's New Wimbledon Theatre, where he assumed the role of Captain Hook in Peter Pan. Later this year, he'll appear on the big screen in 2 major motion pictures, I Could Never Be Your Woman, a romantic comedy with Michelle Pfeiffer, and A Plum Summer, a family adventure co-starring Hugh Jackman, William Baldwin, and Brenda Strong. Finally, and this proves his versatility, when I said that I would be seeing Henry Winkler here this evening, my daughter said, "Wow, he's the author of the Hank Zipser books." But it is true. Henry is the author of a great series of children's books, the Hank Zipser children's books, with his writing partner, Lynn Oliver. The 10th book in the series, My Dog's a Scaredy Cat, was released last summer, and a copy is in each of your gift bags. We are honored to have such a talented and versatile author and entertainer with us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Henry Winkler.
Thank you so much, Glenn. I want to tell you it is great to be back here. I'd like to say that I'm so happy I'm up here and you're down there because I'm neurotic about crab salad breath. But hey, so a man was driving along just outside of LA and he sees a sign. It says, Labrador Retriever, $10. Well, he pulls over. He can't believe it. He goes inside. He says to the man, you're selling a beautiful Labrador Retriever for $10? Can I meet the dog? He said, yeah, the dog's outside. Go ahead. So he goes back and in the backyard and this gorgeous chocolate lab. He said, oh, you are so beautiful. The dog says, thank you. He said, wait a minute, you're talking to me. He said, yes, I talk. You know, as a matter of fact, I started my career with the CIA. I went around the world. I listened in on important meetings. I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to retire. What should I do? I'll write a film. I can't believe this. He goes back inside. He said, sir, this dog, he talks. You're selling him for $10? Why? He said, because the dog is a liar. That has no... I just enjoy the joke. But anyway, I am honored to be here again tonight, and I'm honored that last year my son Max graduated from the film school here at USC. And we had to make a deal, of course. I had to give him a lot of, but he's here with me tonight. I'm very, very proud that Max has joined me. And tonight we honor those who give libraries their purpose. And for those who benefit from great libraries. Isn't it amazing that the writer who wins tonight put her book on the shelf? And isn't it amazing that the winners tonight took that book off the shelf and said, yes, this inspires me to make one of the great movies made not just this year, but maybe in the last 10 years. I mean, after all, what would libraries be without the writers to fill the stacks and then those writers who are inspired by what they find in the library to create their art? And now it is a pleasure to introduce a man who has shared his warm personality, his sharp wit, here at the Scripter Awards since 1852. Hal Cantor has served as the Scripter's Master of Ceremonies since it began, before we were even a twinkle. He served for 7 years and then officially became the Grand Master of Comedy, which he is. He has written for such comic legends as Bob Hope and Jack Benny. He has outlived these great comic legends. He has written and produced All in the Family, You Can't Take It With You, the groundbreaking sitcom Julia, and he has scripted 33 Academy Award telecasts. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a warm welcome for the oldest man on the planet, Hal Cantor. He will be up here by dessert.
You have just seen an old man take his evening walk. Every time I come back here, I'm reminded of another old man, a geezer about my age, who approached the front desk and in a loud voice demanded a well-done cheeseburger with a pickle on the side, an order of French fries, and a Diet Pepsi to go. The startled young lady behind the desk said, "Sir, this is the Doheny Library." And the old man looked around embarrassed, and he said, "I'm sorry. Give me a well-done cheeseburger with a pickle on the side, an order of fries, and a Diet Pepsi to go." Madam Dean, Mr. President, friends of the USC Libraries, honored guests, and awards-winning writers, good evening. Having said that, I hope this will be the one. It should be with the talented Henry Winkler mastering the ceremonies. You have no idea how talented that man really is. He is the only person I know who can eat soft-boiled eggs with chopsticks. As you may recall, Henry is a product of Yale, that Ivy League university that accepts students who can't get into USC. I'm one of them. I couldn't get into USC or Yale. I was willing to settle for UCLA, but they weren't. They insisted that I finish high school first. Snobs. So I went back home to Savannah State Teachers, followed by Georgia Tech, then Cornell, and Syracuse, and Texas A&M, and the Colorado School of Mines. And then in my sophomore year, Oral Roberts U, where on graduation day, instead of a diploma, they gave me a bill for my student loans. I had that framed to hang in my office. So thank you, Henry Winkler, for that earlier introduction, which I so richly required. During what has become known as the Attitude Adjustment Hour, while Henry and I were adjusting, one of the guests asked him for his autograph, and Henry said, "You're a Harvard man, aren't you?" And the smiling guy said, "How did you know that?" And Henry said, "I noticed your class ring while you were playing with yourself in the men's room." But enough about Henry, at least for the moment. I plead pleasure to be again among so many attractive, talented people and their husbands. This is our 19th Annual Scripter Awards. 19 times I've had the privilege of addressing you, friends of the USC Libraries. 19 years, and it seems like only yesterday I was preparing something to say. Come to think of it, it was only yesterday I was preparing something. I remember telling you how gratifying it always is when people recognize that writers and writing are indispensable to man's knowledge of himself and the world he pollutes. Even before the Friends began to honor screenwriting with the increasingly important scripter, These libraries were encouraging excellence in the symbiotic relationship of books and film. In calling attention to the best screenplay adapted for published material, we are following a tradition established more than 25 years ago in a series of luncheons and dinners saluting screenwriters. Not just any screenwriters. You gentlemen who will be called up to accept your Scripter Awards later will be joining an elite band of colleagues whose work in the past has probably influenced yours today, just as your work today will influence the writers of tomorrow. So try to be more cheerful. The library friends you sit among tonight have themselves sat among writers like the prolific Philip Dunn, the great Julie Epstein, pioneer Adela Rogers St. John, and the late lovable Art Buchwald. Another nice thing about these Scripter evenings is they signal the end of Hollywood's awards season is almost over. Thank God. It's getting too much, isn't it? Even the foreign press's Golden Globes ran for 3 hours on television. 3 hours. But they did manage to pack almost 15 minutes of entertainment into that 3 hours. After this year's Oscars are handed out, perhaps we can get back to more vital subjects, like finding out who is really the father of the Anna Nicole Smith baby. And why the Disney organization announced last month that their new CEO, Bob Iger, is drawing a record salary of over $23 million his first year on the job, when the man can't even play soccer, much less bend it like Beckham. Incidentally, our Scripter winner this year, Children of Men, is not a sequel to the Disney film 102 Dalmatians, Puppies of Bitches. A few weeks ago, our gifted producer, Tony Miller, emailed to tell me the winners of the 19th Scripter Awards. Alfonso Cuarón, Timothy Sexton, David Arata, Mike Fergus, and Hawk Ostby are the film playwrights who adapted P.D. James' Bravo to the screen. And almost immediately, I recall what another British novelist, Evelyn Waugh, once said about our calling. I can never understand how two men can write together. To me, he said, it's like three people getting together to have a baby. Of course, Waugh said that before three people did get together to have a baby. But apparently now 6 got together to have children of men, the baby we celebrate this evening. In his review of the film for the local Times, the LA Times, Kenneth Turan praised it as a work of science fiction that was made with palpable energy, intensity, and excitement. It compellingly creates a world gone mad that is uncomfortably close to the one we live in. I live in the Valley. Not far from Van Nuys High School, where we see so many pregnant girls. I marvel at the writers who made us believe that in the future, no woman gets pregnant for years. Now that's powerful writing. And their film is so convincing, one of TV's most infuriating pitchmen has a new commercial in which he says, if you get pregnant on one of our mattresses, your kid's mattress is free. Hate that guy. We're going to hear more about Children of Men by some of its fathers after dinner. But before that, we must thank screenwriter Howard Rodman and his committee who selected it. That's not an easy assignment. Others will speak about the authors, but allow me to salute the readers. The selection committee had to read many books and see many films in order to make their choices of movies that began life in print. And if they didn't read the books or see the movies, but voted anyway, let their guilt be their punishment, and tell their waiters not to serve them any dessert tonight. Congratulations to the rest of you. And speaking of English writers, which one of us did earlier, I believe, I'll leave you with a time that Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber asked citizen Alan J. Lerner, "Why is it that everyone I meet in this country takes an instant dislike to me?" And Lerner said, "Because it saves time." To save more time, waiters, start serving.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm a little out of breath. I was just in the men's room taking pictures of people's class rings. Oh, okay. So for those of you, the Emperor of Japan is looking for a brand new samurai to be the head of his army. He sends out a flyer across Japan. 3 people come. The first comes Yakasama, and he comes up to the emperor and he opens a golden box and a wasp flies out. He rips out his sword and he goes once, whoosh, and the wasp falls, split in half, at the emperor's feet. The next man comes, Nobu, and he opens a pearl box and a wasp flies out. He takes out his sword, whoosh, whoosh, and the wasp falls, quartered, at the emperor's feet. And the third man comes up, his name is Morris, and he opens a mother of pearl box. A wasp flies out, and he takes out his sword, whoosh, 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 and the wasp is still buzzing around the emperor's face. And the emperor grabs Morris. He said, "What were you thinking?" The wasp is still alive, and Morris says, "Circumcision was never meant to kill." I like that joke. For those of you who are new to the Scripter Awards, the Scripter Silver, let me just show you. The Silver Book will be presented this evening to the author and the screenwriters of our winning book to screen adaptation, book to film. And before we honor tonight's winners, I'd like to acknowledge the members of the selection committee, one of whom is a very good friend of mine, whose literary sense and good taste in films ensure the wonderful writers that are selected here, and they win every year because of their good taste. Many of the selection committee members are with us tonight. They include screenwriters, authors, educators, entertainment industry leaders, and of course their chairman, their chairperson, is Howard Rodman, a distinguished Trojan and accomplished screenwriter in his own right. So would the selection committee please stand so that we can thank you properly. Competition this year was very keen. Let's take a look at the eligible films and also highlights from our 5 finalists.
Otto, the youngest person on the planet, was 18 years, 4 months, 20 days, 16 hours, and 8 minutes old.
My name is Andy Sachs. I recently graduated from Northwestern University.
And what are you doing here?
I came to New York to be a journalist, and basically it's this or Auto Universe.
So you don't read Runway?
No.
And before today, you had never heard of me?
No.
And you have no style or sense of fashion?
I think that depends on what you're...
No. That wasn't a question.
I assure you, your secret is safe with me. I'm an officer of the law, after all. Perhaps you'll give me a tip.
Yes, all right. I will bet you the secret of the orange tree that I can guess which hand you place this in every time.
Excellent.
Put it in your fist. Raise your hand against your forehead. Concentrate on it. Form a mental picture.
Yes.
Have you got it?
Yes.
Put your hands in front of you. It's in your left.
Well...
A lucky guess, perhaps.
You have a Confederate who signals you.
No. It's more primitive than that.
Huh?
When you raise your hand to your head, the blood drains from it. It will be paler every time.
Oh, I like that very much.
Took my gun.
Yeah.
Who are you?
I'm Dr. Nicholas Garrigan. I work at the medical compound in Magambo. I'm a doctor.
You are British.
Yeah, well, I'm Scottish. Yeah, I'm Scottish.
Scottish?
Yeah.
Why didn't you say so? I fought with the Scots against the Mau Mau. Great soldiers. Very brave. And good people. Completely. Let me tell you, if I could be anything instead of a Ugandan, I would be a Scot.
Right, really? Really?
Except for the red hair, which I'm sure is attractive to your women, but which we Africans, we find this quite disgusting.
tried to end it, honestly. I just couldn't.
I risked everything for you, and in return you humiliate me.
No, I didn't mean to upset you, Bob. Please. I need your help more than ever. Bob, please don't do like this.
You promised to end it. Why didn't you?
Because I...
What? You're in love? And the child? Do you imagine he reciprocates your soppy feelings? Oh, I dare say he's fascinated by the neurotic compulsions of a middle-class lady with marital problems. There's nothing crueler than the adolescent boy. I know them. Once he's had his fill, he'll discard you like an old rag. You're not young! I say this to help you. End it now.
Now I'm supposed to say, please join me in a round of applause for these wonderful films, but you've already done that. Now it's time to introduce the first clip from tonight's winning film. In the scene we're about to watch, the hero of the film, portrayed by Clive Owen, is speaking with his politically connected cousin, who's played by Danny Houston, one of our tonight's presenters. He reluctantly asks... Okay, this word is going to come out of my mouth very soon. He reluctantly asks for a favor that could potentially lead to humanity's salvation.
Why did you come, Theo?
Well, the thing is, I met this girl.
Cute?
Beautiful.
Is it serious?
Very. She's got this brother in Brighton, and she hasn't seen him for about 5 years, and he's not doing too good. I mean, pretty sick. I don't think he's going to make it.
Sorry.
I've got money. I was hoping you could get us the transit papers to get to the coast.
Transit papers? It's quite a favor.
I know.
Come with me.
I'm really sorry, Nigel. I just don't know who else to ask.
See what I can do. What?
You kill me. 100 years from now, there won't be one sad to look at any of this. What keeps you going?
You know what it is, Theo? I just don't think about it.
Howard Rodman is going to say a few words to us tonight about the creativity and the creative journey from book to film. Now, Howard is a screenwriter, a novelist, and an educator whose movie credits include his adaptation of the legendary Joseph Mitchell book, Joe Gould's Secret. And his current project includes the adaptation of the nonfiction book Savage Grace, which was filmed in 2006, starring the Children of Men, Julianne Moore. He is also the chair of the USC School of Cinematic Arts Screenwriting Division. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a warm welcome for Mr. Howard Rodman.
Thank you, Henry. Henry's earlier joke about the chocolate Labrador, reminds me of something that Groucho Marx once said. Outside of a dog, a book is a man's best friend. Inside of a dog, it's too dark to read. It's one of the hardest things in the world to adapt a book for the screen, and one of the most wondrous things in the world when it's done well. In the case of Children of Men, it began with P.D. James, a literary crime writer, here making a foray into literary speculative fiction. Working in the grand tradition of such classics as George Orwell's 1984 and Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. What resulted was a taut and provocative novel about human civilization in its final days. Tonight's honored screenwriters took P.D. James's The Children of Men and from it crafted a bracingly dystopic script that imagines a terrible future, but a future frighteningly legible to us in the present. Finally, director Alfonso Cuarón, his extraordinary cast, his hugely talented crew, assembled the pieces with impressive vision and impeccable craft. Now let's watch how the arts of fiction writing, screenwriting, acting, filmmaking come together to create an unforgettable scene.
Did you get the papers?
Lovely to see you, too.
Thank you. I really appreciate this.
Just like the old days, back at the bus.
Yeah, except we're the old farts now.
You're looking good.
Right.
Seriously, look at me.
It's hard for me to look at you. He had your eyes.
It's your love.
No, I never understood how you got over it so quickly.
You think I got over it? No one could get over it. I live with it. I think about him every
the way you just seem
day.
to
You don't
move
have
on.
a monopoly on suffering, you know. You always carried his memory like a ball. I always carried
memories. You don't know what I
Mo!
feel or what... Oh, yeah, there you go. It's what you always do. When it gets tough, you walk away.
Do your part. This is our stop.
Avoiding.
Thank you so much, Howard, and thank you. What a scene after scene. You know, we saw so many titles up here as they showed all of the films that were nominated or the films that were possibilities. And then you see this film. Holy moly. Okay, so now let's meet the presenter for this evening's Author Award. Leonard Maltin is one of the most recognized and respected film critics and historians in America. In addition to his contributions to Entertainment Tonight, he recently began hosting a weekly show on the online Reels channel called Secrets Out. Leonard also serves on the selection committee, and he is also a proud member of the USC Trojan family, and he teaches class here. My son says it's one of the best that he took. He is one of the most popular teachers on campus. So, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome for Mr. Leonard Maltin.
Thank you, Henry. And I don't think I've ever been played on by a string section before. I'm very impressed. I may want this all the time now. This is going to spoil me. And why don't we give our musicians a hand? I think that's entirely appropriate. Thank you. It's lovely to have you playing live tonight. Everybody here remember live music? That's what it sounds like. Yeah. I'm a lifelong reader as well as a lifelong moviegoer, so though I haven't practiced the craft as Howard has so well, I certainly appreciate what it takes to transform a book, which is its own entity, into a totally different animal, which is a movie. And there are so many times you see adaptations, whether they be of plays or books or short stories, that don't quite work, and sometimes it's not the filmmaker's fault per se. I think sometimes it just wasn't ever meant to exist in any other medium than between covers or on a stage. And so it is a small miracle when something that has already succeeded in one medium can succeed all over again in another. We're going to see another scene right now from Children of Men, and this one Theo discovers the reason why his involvement in transporting Key to a sanctuary at sea is so vital to the future of civilization. And we'll talk a little about the person who originated this whole idea. Let's roll the clip.
Listen, I don't quite know what's going on.
You can't leave.
Key, I'm in a lot of trouble myself. I'm sorry.
Wait.
What are you doing? Don't do that.
Are you all right?
She wanted him to know. She has the right.
Of course she has.
For fuck's sake.
When you're ready, come inside. Everybody's all right.
She's pregnant.
Now you know what's at stake.
It's quite a moment. As tonight's recipient of the Authorial Scripter Award, P.D. James extends a long tradition of literary excellence. Authors who've previously won this award include Michael Chabon, Michael Cunningham, Jane Austen, who couldn't be here tonight, James Ellroy, Stephen King, and last year's recipient, Gerald Clark. P.D. James so far has published 19 books in her long, distinguished, and varied career as a writer, member of the British Civil Service, and magistrate. She could not be here tonight, but we're delighted that she sent a special message by video from her home in London. Let's meet P.D. James.
As I expect you already know, my name is P.D. James, and I'm speaking to you from my home in London. I only wish I could be with you in person on this important and very happy occasion. It was with the greatest pleasure that I learned that the film The Children of Men was to receive the prestigious USC Libraries Scripter Award. The film is, of course, based on my novel. And I'm often asked, how far does a film really relate to the novel? Well, my view on this is perfectly plain. These are two art forms, and I would far rather have a very distinguished film, which this is, based on my novel, than have a less prestigious one in which every single detail of the plot was followed faithfully. But of course, what we are celebrating is a very, very important part of any film. More important, I think, than many of us realize, the script. And I would like to congratulate warmly Alfonso Cuarón and his collaborators in writing the script, Timothy J. Sexton, David Arata, Mark Fergus, and Hawk Ostby. I understand that all of them are present, and I wish I were there to shake their hands and perhaps to have a discussion about some of the difficulties of translating a book into a film. And this occasion does combine two of the great enthusiasms of my life, writing and libraries. When I was a child, it was the public library in Cambridge, which gave me the greatest joy, which helped me to discover books, and indeed was partly formed me as a writer. I would just like to end by congratulating all of you, to say how much I personally have enjoyed visiting libraries in Southern California when I've been on promotion tours. I send you all my very warm good wishes for every success. Thank you and goodbye.
Is she not the cutest? I'm so sorry she's not here. So thank you, Leonard. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the presenter for this evening's Screenwriter Award, Danny Huston. As you saw, the esteemed actor. He is also a wonderful director. He has appeared in numerous films: The Proposition, 21 Grams, Silver City, The Aviator, The Constant Gardener, Marie Antoinette, and the soon-to-be-released Number 23. And as we saw in the clip earlier this evening, he portrays Theo's cousin Nigel in The Children of Men. And tonight he is here to celebrate the artist who crafted the lines that he brought to life in such a memorable, memorable performance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Danny Huston.
Good evening. What a grand old room this is. I must say, I sort of almost have a sort of ominous feeling that you might all soon be wearing hoods in sort of in a Kubrickian kind of manner. And God knows what may happen. My father, when I asked him what the key to making a good film was, he said, well, choose a good script and cast it properly. Sounds so simple, but yet so true. And he was a great adapter of many fine novels. In the scene that we're about to watch, Theo and Key, along with Key's child, offer a flicker of hope for a desperate, struggling humanity in this skillfully crafted tale. It is now my great pleasure to introduce tonight's winners for the Best Scripted Award, Best Adaptation. These gentlemen join an impressive group of scripter winners, including Steve Zalian, Dan Futterman, Paul Haggis, Curtis Hanson, David Hare, Fanny Flagg, and Anthony Minghella. Tonight's scripter winners have an impressive list of credits and awards between them. Their screenplay for Children of Men has already earned the Online Film Critics Society Award, as well as an Academy Award nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay. On behalf of the Friends of the USC Libraries, I am delighted to present the 19th Annual Scripter Award for the screenplay adaptation Children of Men to Alfonso Cuarón, Timothy J. Sexton, David Arata, Mark Fergus, and Hawk Ostby.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's going to be a tough act to follow after all these jokes and stuff. But knowing that I have to talk here, I was forced to think a little bit about adaptation. And I realized that I've been blessed in the past that I work very closely with amazing writers that they were doing adaptations for films that I directed. One of them is Richard Lagravanés, working on A Little Princess, and obviously Steve Kloves working in Harry Potter. And something very important I learned from the two of them, and I became very aware while working on this adaptation, is one thing is that what really matters is the film you're trying to make. The other thing is fearlessness, and at the end is that there is no rules. There are no rules, but just one more time going to the first thing is to focus on the film you're trying to make. Now, it would be silly not to acknowledge who caused everything here, who created everything that is P.D. James. We just took the basic premise of her book as a point of departure, but that point of departure was pretty much, she triggered the creative process. In other words, she was like the snowball that caused the avalanche that the film ended up being. So I really want to thank P.D. James, and I want to thank her for how gracious she's been about understanding the creative approaches and the art forms of a novel and of a film. For me, the toughest thing in adapting this book, and I think it was a common thing with all of us, the writers, was setting up the universe. And I want to thank a few people here because before we even start writing and thinking about plot and story and character, we have to understand the world we were trying to picture. And this world, we were very clear that we didn't want to make a science fiction film, but we wanted to make a film that was about the present. In order to do that, we tried to understand what was this present of today, of this first decade of the 21st century that is different from the whole 20th century. And in order to do that, it was fundamental the ideas of certain authors like James Lovelock and his ideas of Gaia as the earth as a living organism, Slavoj Zizek and his amazing interpretations of what shapes reality, Naomi Klein and her warnings about the dangers of utopias, Fabrizio Eva, Saskia Sassen, and Caroline Moorhead, and their observations about population and their predictions about the impact that population is going to have in this first part of the 21st century, John Gray for his attacks against the myth of progress, Tsevan Todorov and his essays of humiliation and fear, Wole Soyinka and his exploration about dignity, Jared Diamond and his historical analysis of the collapse of civilizations, Sven Lidvist and his analysis of the 20th century as an effect of colonialism, Richard Dawkins and his selfish gene, and Peter Stoderjic and his cosmovisions. What was important of these people is that they help us create an environment, the environment in which this film was going to take place. Because from the get-go, I was very interested about doing a film in which character and environment, they have the same weight. So this environment was so important that we had to write a timeline from 2000 and 2027 that was going to tell us what happened in this planet Earth. But the important thing is that everything that happened shouldn't be speculative, but it would be about facts that are happening in nowadays. So it's strange, this thing of adapting, because you take a concept, you use it as a springboard, and then you just need to start gathering from different other sources. The first thing was trying to craft this timeline. Once that we have this timeline, pretty much the story and the story and the characters, they fit together, because once that we chose immigration as the main theme that was going to carry throughout the film, then we start crafting a plot and a story that would fit into the theme of immigration. Again, all the time trying to be relevant about what was happening. I think that the biggest changes that happened from the first draft that was written in 2001 or 2002, to the final draft was more the trying to update the sociopolitical events that were happening in the world. I want to thank people, uncredited writers that elevated this material, and I'm talking here about the actors that didn't only give the humanity to these characters, but also understood the relationship between foreground and background, meaning the relationship between character and environment. And Danny Huston, Julianne Moore, Michael Caine, Chiwetel Ejiofor, I think that they pretty much rewrote each single sentence of their character. When you saw that scene there with Danny Huston, all the credit of the writing should go to Danny Huston there. We were very lucky to work under great producers that have great instincts, and also people who understood what this movie was about. This movie, the adaptation of this book could have taken many different directions. It could have been just an exploitational science fiction film. And Hilary Shore, Mike Abraham, and Eric Newman, they understood what this movie was about, and they were pushing us all the time to go to the essence of this movie we're trying to make. And as well as the tremendous encouragement of Universal Pictures. And I thank you, Mark Smoger, David Lindy, Donna Langley, and Dylan Clark. That for me, it's not coincidence that in the Academy Awards, this film is nominated for screenplay and editing. That for me is one thing and the same. And it's the part in which all of you guys were deeply involved. So I want to share those nominations with you. I would like to thank the USC Scripter Award for this amazing honor. Howard, thank you very much. The selection committee, thank you very much. And lastly, I want to share this award with another three uncredited writers. These three people, I think, their ideas, their emotions, the thoughts are really present in every page of the script and every single frame of this film. I'm talking about Guillermo del Toro, Alejandro González Iñárritu, and especially, more than anything else, what I consider to be a co-writer of this film, a co-filmmaker of this film, is Clive Owen. Thank you very much.
Well, we know that Alfonso is a good friend of the library. Okay, that was supposed to be funny. Okay. Sorry. I would just like to say one thing, though, to you all, and that is that you will all go on to create other wonderfulnesses. You're probably in the midst of doing that now. but never again, not never again, but you have given the world such a thoughtful, important gift in this movie. This movie is so filled with humanity and gives us a place to start talking about whether or not we're going to have a future, that I think that it is just a magnificent gift that you have given to us all. And congratulations on winning. So throughout the evening, you've been enjoying selections adapted from the musical score of Children of Men, and I'd like to take this moment to thank Jason Goldman and the USC Thornton School of Music musicians. I was just thinking of the first meeting that Alfonso must have had with Universal when he brought in this gigantic bag of books and said, here, this is what I'd like to do. I know that you have plenty of time to read all of this. Now, I also want to thank the presenters, Howard Rodman. Thank you so much. There's one person who got, Leonard Maltin, Danny Houston, and the award recipients tonight of this terrific evening. You know, the evening is young. The bar is open, and I would also like to say to you that I would like to bring a very good friend of the USC Libraries, the president, Glenn Sonnenberg, to the podium once again.
Henry, don't go anywhere. We have one more award to give this evening, a special presentation, and this was not scripted, but it's for you. We want to thank you on behalf of the USC Friends of the Libraries for teaching us all to be cool many years ago, for your contributions to children's literature with the Hank Zipser books, for all that you've done to make the Scripter Award such an incredible event, all that you've done, your humor and your good name, and all that you've done for us at USC, and we just like to say thank you very much. And we want to give you, we have a Hall of Honor, the card catalog room. We have all of the drawers. We're giving you the card catalog room.
I'm in the card catalog room.
And you have to read all of them.
The Dewey Decimal System.
But we have memorialized and honored all the great friends of the USC Libraries there, and your name will forever be in the library. I think we have the drawer. Is that? Oh, it's right here. It's right here. Gadzooks. For those of you old enough to remember, this is what a card catalog drawer looks like. And it's to Henry Winkler, Scripter MC. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh my good. So let me just say that I started reading the history of the tree. And from there, okay, I'm so happy that I have my own drawer. Oh, Lord. I don't know what to say. Okay, so I'm going to take this home very carefully. I'm going to put it on the mantle. My wife will remove it. But no, I'm so proud. Thank you very much. Really, thank you so much. Now, before you leave, you'll notice that you've got this very heavy bag that keeps banging into you every time you want to sit down, hanging on the back of your chair. Inside is the screenplay of the movie that we honored tonight. And our winners have offered to sign at the Universal Picture table. Universal has brought their own table with them from the studio. And it will be here in front of the stage, I believe. The night is still young, as I said. The tent is open. The bar is flowing. We will see you next year. And I would like it if you all came looking as beautifully as you came tonight. Thank you once again for all your support and for my drawer.